And good morning. You have reached Profiles and Perspectives with Darswell Rogers, and super glad to be here on this Friday morning. And I'm very pleased to have as my guest, actually my oldest and dearest friend who has been such a tremendous exemplar in his industry that he has been recognized with one of the most prestigious awards that you can possibly get. Mr. Greg Dulan. Greg, are you there?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing? And thank you for getting up so early. Greg is on the West Coast.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm up and at 'em.
As a matter of fact, as I understand it, headed to the gym. Is that right?
I'm actually at the gym.
Okay. So let me explain. I asked Greg to join me this morning. Greg is one of the finalists for the James Beard Award as Restaurateur of the Year. The James Beard Award recognizes exceptional talent and achievement in culinary arts, hospitality, media, and broader food systems. And it really is the most prestigious award that one can get in the food industry, with the exception of a Michelin star. Anybody who's familiar with a Michelin star, but certainly as it relates to American culinary, the American culinary industry, there is no better award. And so, Greg, I'm sure you are thrilled. And tell me, what were your thoughts and reactions when you got the news?
Well, I got to tell you, I was very surprised. Last year, I was a semifinalist. And so this year, I saw my name as a semifinalist again, and I just assumed it was a mistake. And I discovered it wasn't a mistake, that I was a semifinalist. And then a month later, I was named a finalist, and I was just blown away. I could not believe it. So it was quite surprising, very exhilarating, very exciting, and I'm looking forward to hopefully actually winning the award.
So, this is as Restaurateur of the Year. Kind of frame what does that mean? What is it? Let's do the basics. What does it mean to be a restaurateur? What exactly is the idea of a restaurateur? You got chefs, you got all of this. What is a restaurateur?
Excellent question. I've never been asked that question before. Believe it or not, being called a restaurateur doesn't necessarily mean you know how to cook. And a lot of people get confused with that. But a restaurateur is someone who has a certain skill in running a restaurant or multiple restaurants or multiple food service operations. And they are the restaurateur is the person that puts the package together, gets the financing, picks the location, negotiates the leases, hires the chef and the staff that will run the restaurant, does all the marketing, gets the customers to come through the door, and hopefully creates a entity or a concept that is beloved by the public and supported by the public, and something that can become successful.
Yeah, that was a great explanation. You broadened it even from where I am. So there's a lot of business acumen as well as creativity and a number of other things involved in what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of nerves and sacrifice also.
Some of the remarkable things that you have done in the business that have always blown me away is not necessarily the traditional storefront restaurant business, but you have actually gone from, leveraging your dad's business, which I'd love for you to talk about, straight through catering, straight through doing, very complex catering, to obviously restaurant facilities, to food truck. You've kind of run that entire gamut. Can you kind of just, let's start with your dad and then kind of bring our listeners through a little bit of the evolution of your career as a restaurateur.
Well, my late father, Adolph Dulan, was known as the king of soul food in Los Angeles. And he always had the big dream of owning his own business. He didn't know what business he was going to start, but eventually he ended up in the food business and started off with a little hamburger stand way back in 1975. And it was his desire that his children be exposed to business ownership and what it took to run a business. And so as the oldest child, I was literally dragged into the business to work.
And let me emphasize, you said bitterly dragged.
Yes, and kicking and screaming. But I discovered that I liked it. And when it was time for me to leave home and go to Howard University, I went with the intention of getting a degree in business management because I fully expected to return to Los Angeles and to work in the family business. So I started off doing that, and eventually I opened my own business, my own restaurant, which I named after our family name, Dulan's Soul Food. We're in the soul food business. And then I branched off into catering and food trucks and contracts with the museums and things like that. And we just sort of broadened our scope, and here we are today.
We're talking to Greg Dulan. He is is out in Los Angeles. Dulan's on Crenshaw. He owns, and then Dulan Soul Food Kitchen is the business that he also owns with his siblings. We're talking to Greg. He is one of the finalists as Restaurateur of the Year for the James Beard Award. I've discovered that not as many people as you would think are familiar with the James Beard Awards. It is, if you will, kind of like the Academy Awards of in the restaurant and the food business. And so he's a finalist in the award ceremony. I guess is in June, correct?
June 5th.
So you covered a bit about your dad and how you kind of initially jumped into this business. In terms of this is an opportunity for you to share with our listeners some of the progression of your career, because I'm going to start here kind of at the end in terms of some of the big highlights that have taken place recently, and then we can kind of backtrack. The Super Bowl, the last Super Bowl, was it the last? Was it? Yeah, it was just the last Super Bowl, correct? Was in LA? Was it the last one or the one before then?
The one before. Time flies. We've already had another Super
Bowl.
Yeah.
That's right. So the 2022 Super Bowl was in Los Angeles, and you were selected to be the caterer that fed all of the people who worked the Super Bowl.
Right. So for Super Bowl, Los Angeles, I forget the number. My goodness.
Yeah, there's been too many of them.
Dulan's was selected for 3 events actually, and one of the events was we were part of a team of restaurants that catered the VIP tailgate for 10,000 people at the Super Bowl. And then after that, my company was hired to feed the 800 volunteers who worked the Super Bowl. So after the crowd went into the stadium, we fed everybody who worked the Super Bowl. And it just so happened that 3 days prior, my family was on Good Morning America, and they surprised us with Super Bowl tickets. And so while feeding the staff, I had to say goodbye to my staff, and I went and enjoyed the Super Bowl game. So it was an incredible day for me.
Incredible indeed. And as a matter of fact, last time I was out in LA, we actually had a little gathering in the exact facility where ABC actually broadcast live during that Super Bowl week at your restaurant.
Yes, it was Good Morning America
Good Morning America.
in the room where we did that broadcast very early, very, very early in the morning.
Yeah. So, among the remarkable things that you have done and kind of speaks to the level of your experience, SoFi Stadium is one of the most amazing football arenas, or actually one of the most amazing arenas ever built. I mean, obviously it's brand new, so it's very state of the art. You did some pretty remarkable catering related to, I guess you say that the contractor or the developer rewarding the workers. Share a little bit about that story.
Well, ACOM, Turner, Hunt, two companies, maybe three companies now that I mentioned it, were the contractors who built SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. And typically, on a large scale construction project like that, when the contractor reaches a certain milestone in the construction process, they do a special meal for the construction workers. And because that project was so large, they typically have between 3,000 to 4,000 people a day working on the stadium. And so we catered a few events there, but the event that I'm most proud of was the topping out ceremony that we were hired to cater. And the topping out ceremony for construction project is at the point of the project where you're ready to place the last beam, support beam, in the building or the structure. And what typically happens is you have a topping out ceremony where the people associated with the project come and sign that beam. I got to sign the beam, and then we serve lunch on that particular day, we served lunch to 3,800 construction workers. They gave me 1 hour to serve everybody, and we were able to get the job done.
So serve 3,800 people in 60 minutes.
Yeah, it was about an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, we don't want to overstate the remarkable nature of that, but it takes a lot of acumen, knowledge, coordination. Talk a little bit about the evolution of your ability to do large scale catering, because it's a distinctly unique talent that you've developed.
Well, I didn't do it on my own. I had to learn how to do it, and something that I've always believed in doing throughout my career is continuously improving and continuously learning. And so over the years, I have traveled the country, going to different seminars, catering seminars. I went to barbecue school in Murfreesboro, Illinois. I've gone to conventions in cities like Las Vegas and New Orleans with Cater Source, which has an incredible educational component. And I learned how to do large-scale events by the education I received over the years, attending some of these seminars and catering camps and boot camps, things like that. And you have to get out and educate yourself, and that's how I learned to do what I am able to do.
This is the what folks mostly see when you highlight a person who has achieved a certain level of success in their career. What people see and hear is the culmination of a lot of hard work. They don't see the disappointments. They don't see or fully appreciate those down periods, those down times. which we all have. Anybody who's achieved anything of great success has gone through. Talk a little bit about your resiliency. What is it that has kept you moving through some of the challenges that you've had in your career?
Well, the big factor is my father. I saw him endure some of the most challenging periods and challenging things that you can imagine as a business owner. And I watched him every single time, stand up and get back into it and keep going. And there's a story that I tell often. I'll try to give you the abbreviated version, but we had a restaurant in a rough part of town in Los Angeles. We had an unruly customer, and he picked up a trash can and threw it through the front window of the restaurant. Small little hamburger stand, actually. And it resulted in us having to close. We called the police and everything. And my father, who wasn't there at the time, came to the restaurant. He started sweeping up the glass. He called a glass company. They came and replaced the window. And 4 hours later, we were open again, as if nothing had happened. And I remember him saying to me, son, the business must go on. Let's sweep up the glass and we'll, get everything fixed. And without missing a beat, he got the business reopened, and we kept going as if nothing had happened. And that example of resiliency just has stuck with me. And, and there are many, many other examples. But, as you just said, all of us have gone through tough times. And the key to success, I believe, and the difference between a successful person and a non-successful person is that the successful person deals with the challenges, licks his wounds if he's made a mistake, and gets back on his horse and gets back in the race. And that's something that I've learned to do, and it's not easy. It's not always easy. But it's something that I've just always done.
We're talking to Mr. Greg Dulan. He's Dulan's on Crenshaw, Dulan Soul Food Kitchen out in Los Angeles. He's been awarded to be a finalist for the James Beard Award for Restaurateur of the Year. We're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour and come back and continue this conversation. Greg, I kind of want to take us into the early years of your career as we continue our conversation. You listen to Profiles and Perspectives with Darswell Rogers. And welcome back to this second half hour of Profiles and Perspectives with Darswell Rogers. I'm your host. I'm very pleased to have with me Mr. Greg Dulan. He has been he's one of the finalists as Outstanding Restaurateur for the James Beard Awards. James Beard is an award that recognizes exceptional talent and achievement in the culinary arts, hospitality, media, and broader food systems, as well as a demonstrated commitment to racial and gender equity, community sustainability, and a culture where all can thrive. And I should note, Greg, as I bring you back for this conversation, that the second part of what the James Beard Award recognizes focusing on things like demonstrated commitment to racial and gender equity and the like, is a relatively new addition to the goals of the James Beard Award. Can you speak a little bit to that?
I will do my best. The James Beard Award is not something that over my lifetime I knew a lot about. My introduction to the James Beard Award was actually fairly recent. But as I understand it, after certain things have happened in our country, George Floyd and the effects of the pandemic that have impacted so many of us. A lot of companies, corporations, James Beard being one of those, took a look at how they were uh, how they were being inclusive and how they were, you know, recognizing culinary artists in their system. This is just my perspective, and they made some changes, and they shifted around some categories, and they started looking in other areas and other communities, and as a result, you see more people of color being recognized and actually winning this prestigious award. So, you know, a lot of changes occurred because of the whole country changed actually because of what we've gone through the last couple of years with the pandemic.
That is for real. No doubt it has had profound changes. So there's two specific things in the time that we've got left that I want to cover with you. I really want to kind of go back initially. I want to talk about the past, and then I want to talk about the future. Just to be blunt, because I've known you for so many years. I can remember so distinctly your decisions to join the family business in your, I guess, early 20s, and that evolution from joining the family business to then evolving into doing your own catering business, to then thinking you wanted to be in the restaurant business, to then going into the school lunch business, and all those ups and downs. And this is mostly about giving people a sense, because again, so frequently people see the success at the end, toward the end of the road, and not understand all that went into getting there. And so if you can share a little bit about that, and then at the end here, we want to flip and talk about what the future is for Dulan's and for Greg Dulan, the individual, as well as the business.
So talk about my beginning a little bit then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had no idea I wanted to go into the food business. Like a lot of us who end up in professions that may not have been a part of our original plan, that was clearly the case. I thought I wanted to do it, but initially I went into banking, and I did that for 6 years, and I said, "Oh my God, this is not for me." And so I, boomeranged back to the family business. And I've been doing it now for about 36 years, and I just really worked hard, and I really tried to educate myself, and I tried to develop a niche. And so my niche is soul food, southern home cooking, the barbecue, the fried chicken, sweet potato pie, and that niche is not, it was easy to exploit that niche in Los Angeles because there just aren't that many soul food places or people specializing in soul food here on the West Coast. I mean, we have more than a lot of cities, but still there's room for growth. And I just worked at it, and it helps that I love what I do, especially the catering part of my business. I love doing large-scale events. It's probably one of the funnest things that I do, and just figuring it out and going through all the logistical planning and everything, and the food temp calculations and timing calculations is just a lot of fun for me. And so, in that sense, what I do and what I've done over the years hasn't really been work, but on the other side, it's tough. There are days that are really tough. There are the ups and downs, and there's been a lot of down times, months, years, down times that I've gone through, and had to try to figure out a way to get out of, to survive, really. Just like the pandemic, we had to figure out how to survive. And thank God we were able to, get a contract with World Central Kitchen to provide meals to needy folks in Los Angeles. So, that's a long answer to your question, but, that's pretty much it.
One of the things that's a relatively new addition to what you do is a food truck, and I want to kind of pivot a little bit, thinking about the future. You have been renovating your Crenshaw location, Dulan's on Crenshaw. You have been, you developed this food truck that you talked about for years and years, but that's been on the road for a few years now. Talk about, what are the plans for the future? What do you see for yourself and for Dulan's as time goes into the future?
Well, you mentioned our food truck, and one of the businesses that I own that you haven't mentioned is Hotville Chicken. Hotville Chicken is our Nashville hot chicken concept that I opened in partnership with my partner, Kim Prince. Kim is from the famous Prince family out of Nashville, Tennessee, that operate Prince's Hot Chicken in Nashville. So together we have brought authentic, original style Nashville hot chicken to the city of Los Angeles. And so we call our food truck Dulanville, which is a pairing or a collaboration between our Dulan Soul Food restaurant and our Hotville Chicken restaurant. And so that dual branding gives us a lot of marketing for both brands, but it makes the truck more appealing for our potential clients. And so as it relates to, as I pivot and talk about my future, you mentioned the fact that we're renovating our restaurant on Crenshaw. That should be finished very, very soon. And my goal is to get the new restaurant up and running. I'm very proud of the fact that we are building a new restaurant, and we're building, the restaurant has 2 kitchens, one kitchen to take care of the retail walk-in restaurant clientele. And then we have a separate kitchen that will take care of all of our third-party delivery, food truck, and catering operations. And we developed that concept after dealing with the virus when all the restaurants shut down. And in our case, our kitchen was overrun with orders, takeout orders. And so we had to come up with a concept, kitchen concept for the future. And I think a dual kitchen or 2 kitchens in the restaurants is something that you're going to see a lot in the future, particularly with the growth of ghost kitchens in different cities.
Yeah, this whole question of ghost kitchens and I'll even say production kitchens, which, as you know, a lot of my listeners, I suspect, know that I'm part owner of a restaurant in New York where my son is really the principal driver, and I'm just tagging along, attempting to be helpful. When you think about all the tribulations and all the challenges that have taken place in businesses in general, restaurants have really had to make some significant adjustments into the pandemic and then coming out of the pandemic. I don't know if everybody understands the concept of a ghost kitchen and then this need and the opportunities as it relates to a production kitchen. Can you talk about what is a ghost kitchen? Is that something that you're even thinking about doing, and just generally a little bit more about the value of having 2 different kitchens, one for your I guess your clients that are going to stay in, and then those that are going to take it away or do third party.
That's an excellent question. I guess you can't assume that everyone knows what a ghost kitchen is, but essentially a ghost kitchen is a kitchen, typically a very small kitchen, typically a group of very small kitchens that they're built in a nondescript, off the beaten path warehouse type of environment where they are just kitchens. They are not designed to have public customers, but they are kitchens that are built for third-party delivery concepts, delivery services only. Some of the ghost kitchens are used to produce food for, grocery store, grocery store delivery. Some of the ghost kitchens are used for food truck preparation, but they are kitchens. They're very, very small kitchens that are used that are designed to create food concepts that the public often never sees. The public often never sees these kitchens, and often these kitchens are right in your community, and you don't even know they're there. So I hope that was a decent explanation of what a ghost kitchen is. But they have come to they become big competitors for brick and mortar restaurants because they siphon off the gold business because it's not unusual for there to be 10 ghost kitchens in one location with multiple concepts. And these ghost kitchens have websites and they're selling food online. The online portion is important, I should have mentioned. And they're competing directly with brick and mortar restaurants.
Yeah, I think it's what I find fascinating about it down here in where I'm right now in North Carolina. I don't know that it would be a super big opportunity, but certainly when you've got a lot of density in a community, imagine where a lot of people are ordering food through Uber Eats, Grubhub, Chow Now, those sorts of vehicles. They simply market themselves, and they've got a menu with food in it, of food, and you order, and the only way you can get the food is through a third-party delivery provider because they do not have a storefront. And so you can take your business, and frankly, it can be run out of a regular restaurant that just decides, hey, I've got my regular food, but I've got some additional capacity, so I'm going to add an additional menu that can be completely different, but it's strictly for delivery. And so you've never, the only way you can get access to it is basically go online, use an app. And to your point, Greg, they really are real competitors to the traditional restaurant if they've got effective marketing. And so, these are sort of some of the interesting, business concepts that are out there. My son has played with these sorts of these ideas as well. So I know you've got the Dulans on Crenshaw restaurant that hopefully you'll get that construction done at some point this year, and then you've got your food truck. Are there other things afoot in terms of your future when you think about what you want to get accomplished moving forward?
Yes, we currently have a food service contract with the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles. They have contracted with our food truck, and we're there 7 days a week. And our goal is to get more contracts like that, possibly with the Hollywood Bowl, possibly with Disneyland. And then we have some other interesting offers that I really can't mention right now that we're looking at, and to continue to grow the business. And at some point, I'll step away and let my younger brother run things, and we'll see what who will come up next in the family to keep the business going.
Awesome. So we've been talking to Greg Dulan. He is one of the finalists as Outstanding Restaurateur of the Year for the James Beard Award. They're coming up in June. You've mentioned to me offline, Greg, that this is really going to be kind of a who's who in food. So based upon what you know about that event, what are you expecting to kind of experience, and who do you think might be there?
Oh, the biggest names in the restaurant industry will be there. The Marcus Samuelson, Wolfgang Puck, Mary Sue Milligan, just the who's who of the restaurant world. It's akin to the Academy Awards. It's just like, when you look at the Academy Awards and all the actors are there for the ceremony, this is the exact same thing, but for the restaurant industry. And so I'm expecting to say my oohs and ahs as I see this person and that person, and hopefully get a chance to meet and take a few pictures with some of the famous people in the restaurant industry. It's a black tie affair, and all of the finalists are, asked to be there. And when the awards are read, no one knows who's going to win until your name is called, and then you go up on stage, and hopefully I'll be the person to go up and make a short speech as the winner of the Outstanding Restaurateur. And then there is a elaborate reception afterwards. Oh, and the event takes place at the Opera House in Chicago. And then there's a wonderful reception afterwards with food from all over the United States, from these famous chefs who've flown in to prepare this meal. And it's just an incredible, incredible experience. And I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I hope, everyone says a prayer for Dulan's and Dulan Soul Food in Los Angeles. And, we're claiming it. We're claiming the victory. I'm claiming the victory.
I love it. I love it.
In his name. In his name. And
Speak
so,
it into existence.
Yes.
Uh,
So, that's it. It's very exciting.
It very, very exciting. I have made my commitment to be there with you. So I'm excited to experience this event. As a quick side bar here for folks here locally. James Beard is something that here in the state of North Carolina, there have been people who've been acknowledged as very special. Last year, there's a chef up in Durham called Ricky Moore who won Best Chef in the Southeast, and he's got a restaurant called Salt Box Seafood Joint. So if anybody's up in the Durham area, Salt Box Seafood Joint was recognized, and this was last year as the best chef in the Southeast. So they've got a broad array of categories that they do recognize. This is kind of part of kind of expanding the recognition, and it's certainly an industry that has that can use as much PR and the like as possible. So Greg, we got just a little bit of time left. Is there any kind of last final thoughts you have? I always like to say the words of wisdom for somebody who's considering becoming an entrepreneur or a restaurateur. Anything you want to just add here as we leave, as we got about 60 seconds.
Well, you can't do it without prayer. You've got to bring God into the situation and pray and have faith in your business and have faith in yourself. And I find that is what has been helping me to sustain myself, especially when things get tough. So with that, I thank you for having me as a guest. This has been great. I can't believe it's been an hour already. Yeah,
we've flown through. So I'm going to let you get into the gym and work out and get the rest of your day going. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And to my audience, have an outstanding weekend. We will see you next week. You listen to Profiles and Perspectives with Darswell Rogers.